This Sunday. Every Sunday. Side by side at the microphone, from the green light to the speed trap, Chris Switzer and Ray Garino calls them as they sees them, and you better believe them. Here! Relevant news, biased opinions, and outright bullshit regarding every aspect of automotive culture. Gas, but mechanical trickery never before revealed over FCC-regulated airwaves. Thrill to the explosive tension as Chris and Ray cuss each other down the track and barrel roll across the finish line, laughing at certain disaster as they shake hands for the devil. All that and much more this Sunday at high noon on the Motormouth Radio Hour. Call in and speak live with the Wizards of Speed and live feed, Chris Switzer and Ray Garino. Bring the whole family. Kids under 12 get in free. Every Sunday at noon on WHPC. Take the Long Island Expressway to the Meadowbrook Parkway and look for the sign saying no parking on the expressway and no express service on the parkway. Go right on Highway 24 to Garden City. $2 all-day parking includes pit pass. Sunday!
I drive a 1950 Chevrolet, maybe old, but I'd like to say that Velvet Head 6 is really thrifty, 12 years old, but she's really nifty. Yes,
yeah, she's nifty. Who is it?
My little nifty 50.
Yeah, your little nifty 50. I'm not driving a 50. I'm driving something a little later, but you don't want to hear about that. You want to hear that you've tuned into Motormouth Radio, Long Island's only automotive talk show. Here with your hosts, Ray Guarino and Chris Switzer, sitting over there by the caddy pictures. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing just Jim Dandy right here on this fine, upstanding fall day. It's beautiful out there in the Nutmeg State. How are you doing down on the island of Long?
We are doing very good. In fact, today is a very auspicious day here on the island.
It's auspicious? Please tell me why.
Right now, as we speak and talk, the Town of Oyster Bay Car Show Long Island is going on at Tobay Beach. That's the show we've been playing the bumper, the liner for on this show that somebody got to record a while ago. A name a voice you might recognize. So, and let me just tell you, if you're going to go down there, it was always hard to get in as a spectator because the spectators had to come in with the car show cars, and it was way too obtrusive. So what they did is you go to Jones Beach Field 5 if you're a spectator, and they shuttle bus you over.
Oh wow!
And so it's a lot easier to get in and out of that show now. They're going to have a free concert by Vinyl Revival, right from our age. A lot of food trucks, vendors, more stuff. It's now, you can go to carshowli.com is the website, which I can help you now because it's already going on. And our good friend Bobby and the boys from the Olds Club are doing the judging down there.
Nice. So judging will be accurate and impartial.
And very fair. Yeah, those guys are great. So that's going on today out at the beach. Today, here, we're going to have a great show because we're catching up with our old friend Carl Anthony. We haven't had him on in a while, only because our schedules got so... You went through the egg grinder, egg beater, whatever you want to call it. I don't know, the pepper mill. So
now I'm hungry.
I know. Me too. I am. You know what? I am. So I want to touch base with something quick. This piece of car business before we get Carl on.
Sure.
Last week I showed you that adapter I had got to go into my hose, the radiator hose of my car, to put my temperature sensor in.
Yes, I was looking at pictures of it right here on Instaberg. On Instaportal. Oh, look at that.
So here it is. It's done. Thanks to Pirate Paul. I shot over to his house yesterday because he had some toolage that I didn't. This thing had a little tiny hole in it. Now it's got this big honking. You can see
nice. Look at the threads on that puppy.
That's 3/8 pipe tap.
That's quite a ream there you have, Ray.
So this will now thread directly in. Now,
look at that, like it's got eyes.
And that'll sense the temperature directly.
So you should be watching this on YouTube when it's uploaded there, young people.
Right. Later today, this show will be on YouTube. It'll be on Motormouth Radio and Motormouth Video, so you can see that. I'll also post it on Facebook, Instagram, and X.
And you could look at Ray's hole.
You can see it. So the thing is, it seems easy to do that, but to the uninformed, but it's not, because not everybody has that size pipe tap. That's a big one. When I had to do that on my intake manifold to put my temperature sensor in for the Holly, the boys at DUD had a tap that they lent me.
Right.
It's 3/8 tap is not a common part. It really isn't.
No, it isn't. And I'm sure that piece of that part is aluminum. It
It
looks
is.
aluminum.
It is.
So you really have almost one shot at this, and you
Well,
better make it good because aluminum is unforgiving, isn't it?
yeah, but it's easy to work with. In
That's
case
why it's so unforgiving.
in the case of the intake, I decided to not tap the intake. I decided to have it drilled out and a bung welded in, TIG welded in. So I did that. In this case, it was easy to do this. But I'll tell you something, a 3/8 tap, you need like over a half-inch hole. Pipe taps don't run like drill sizes. They're definitely different. And it's
Okay.
just a whole nother world that people don't understand unless they have to. So
Sure.
needless to say, Paul had the tool, shot over to his house. We set it up. And just to bring it into finish, because the hole had to be 37/64. So how's that for a nice round number? So I always look at it this way. When I see a number like that, I say, okay, what does that mean to me? Okay, 37/64. So you have no
Confusion.
reference. But I say, okay, it's 6/64 of an inch. What's half of that? It would be 32/64.
Right.
32/64 is a half inch. So this was 37/64. So you know it's bigger than a half inch,
Correct.
but it's only a 3/8 tap. So, right, so that's where, so neither of us had the correct.
My head hurts now.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Neither of us had the correct drill bit size. So what Paul has, something that I don't even have at home, he has a nice drill machine, but he has what's called a boring bar. And the boring bar is a piece that fits into the collet of the drill or the mill, and it's got a cutter on it that you can dial it across a scale, and it spins kind of. It's weird watching it because it spins oblong. It doesn't. Well, it spins circular, but
Okay.
because it's offset from the thing it's mounted in, it looks like it's spinning oblong, and it's not. And what it'll do, that cutter will go in and just cut the rim of whatever hole you have. So if you touch the edge and you establish that you're just touching it, then you dial in, say, 2/1000 of an inch. This thing has a scale. It will cut 2/1000 of an inch off, which of course on a hole it's going to be. Well, yeah, I guess the set is 2. It'd be 1. You'd go 1,000 because it's 1 on each side. Because it's a circle. So you can then cut a couple thousandths off. You can take a measurement if you want to be sure, and you can walk that hole out to the size you need. So you could be anywhere in between numbers if you really want within 1,000th.
I'm very glad that Carl Anthony is coming on the show because
I know
something's got to bring the listeners just back from that last
what?
speech.
Some
Because I hear
guys-
the radio's clicking right now.
I know, but some guys, believe it or not, actually like to know this stuff. I know
They're
I'm
all,
not the only
they're
one.
all going to the all news station right now, Ray. I hate to
They're
tell
already
you.
down at Tobay Beach. Yeah, I know. So anyway, we did that. We got it done, and and that was
Well, it looks good. I
Yeah.
gotta tell you that.
right. So
I'm glad Carl is coming on.
me too. So that's done. Now I can install that, do the wiring, and get that fan finally going up and running, make sure everything is good. The other thing I'll mention before is that if people are free, I got this flyer here. It's the Liars Club again, November 8th at the Freeport Rec Center. It's a model car club.
So that's a liar flyer.
It's a liar flyer, right? And of course, LIAR stands for Long Island Auto Replica Society.
Got it.
Freeport Rec Center. Yeah, it'll cost you $5 to get in, and you can see a ton. You'll see. I know I've sent you some pictures of just the paint jobs that these
Oh my
guys do
gosh.
on these models.
Extraordinary.
Unbelievable.
Extraordinary. The amount of detail and how they'll just take a regular model and make the doors and the trunk and the hood open and do all kinds of crazy stuff to them. I think it's fantastic. So
Yeah.
So yeah, it's an amazing. They're almost jewelry when you look at some of those cars, and yeah, I could believe it. I can only imagine. I can barely build a model nowadays. I used to be pretty good at it now, and nowhere near the caliber of what you're talking about. They will take your breath away when you see some of them. But anyway, I had a little bit of an adventure on Sunday after the show last week.
Oh.
I took the tracker out to go and run some errands with it,
Uh-huh.
and enjoying the fact that the stabilizer bar the sway bar is now bolted on both sides of the chassis like it's supposed to be. And I'm
Right.
driving along, taking my turns and enjoying my newfound handling. And I get to a turn that I just cut a little too sharp, and I hear bung.
Oh
And I'm
boy,
like, oh, what is that?
you
And
heard the bung noise.
I'm thinking of my work. I'm like, oh, that probably that part broke off, or maybe one of the bolts sheared.
Right.
I'm thinking that my job was the one that was compromised. And I get the tracker home, and I get under there looking at my work, and it's all rock solid. It's all perfect. Everything is right where it's supposed to be. I
Uh-huh.
look over at the other side. That's the one that went.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So the car is now sitting in the garage, up in the air, and I'm doing the exact same thing I did on the other side. I'm drilling two bolts into a secure piece of solid metal attached to the frame, because that's what they were. They were two pieces of welded parts that were welded literally to the sides of the frame that they probably never undercoated. Like, that probably got missed,
Right.
because both of them are rusty when the rest of the chassis is fine. Just
Yeah.
both of those pieces were compromised. And since they're offshoot from the chassis, the part that held the sway bar broke free, but there's still an upper portion that is well welded to the chassis. And I'm using that, drilling holes into that too. And I'm putting the bolts that you gave me.
Okay. Okay. Good. Good.
This
Good.
car, this tracker is filled with that box of bolts that you gave me about 20 years ago.
Good. Good. They were good bolts.
They were.
I will say this: in drilling chassis, there is a drill bit out there that far exceeds most.
Please tell me, because I eat drill bits for lunch.
Well, you're not going to like it because they're damn expensive too.
Oh, I'm sure.
Now, Matco Man Brian sells these. The tool guys sell them. They call them, oh crap, what do they call? They have their own
That's
name.
a funny
for it.
name for a drill bit.
No,
I wouldn't want to call it that.
No.
That would impede sales.
I don't recall off my hand what Matco calls them. There are other companies that sell them too. What it is if you look at the drill, and you know what, I'll put a picture up. They there's a point, there's a distinguished point. Now, when you do metal, you have a 135-degree point. That's kind of metal, you know.
Right.
Or is it 105 and wood's 135? Whatever. So there's a regular point that you have for metal. This is much more pronounced. It's steep. It's very almost like a center punch point. And
Okay.
then the flutes of the drill are like shaved, kind of. They have like slices in them, and then it'll eventually go to a regular drill bit. That drill bit will. They claim it'll drill through anything. And on the videos I watched early on, they showed a guy drilling through a brake rotor. And it's like,
Wow.
not the hub, the rotor part.
Wow.
So that's some strong stuff. And when I tell you, I've used these things and they go through metal like butter.
Like butter.
And that's for chassis work. Those things are absolutely key. They really
I've seen
are.
those. Yeah, I've seen those for wood, where you see the drill bit like you see a standard head, but on top of it looks like a pine cone.
Yeah.
That looks like a small little looks like a Christmas tree.
Thank you, Brian. Hyper-Step. Yes, Matco calls them Hyper-Step. So I guess you could look those up. That's the I guess that's what Matco calls them. There's other names. Paul said split point. Yeah, there's other names, I'm sure. But Hyper-Step is what. So if you look up Matco Hyper-Step drill bits, you'll see. And they come in different sizes. You can buy a small set. You can buy a large set. They are expensive. So you know.
Sure.
But I will say this: if you do. And this doesn't cover you, Chris. It doesn't. So you might as well go get coffee. If you do take care of your tools and your drills correctly, these
Yeah, no, that doesn't cover me.
you know, like Paul and I were swapping stories yesterday, and you know, he's got an old tap and die set. I have some really old. I have taps and dies back from the 70s when I was in a machine shop
Wow.
that I'm still using. Why?
I'm sure.
It's because I take care of them and I clean them. I don't abuse them. I have the right tap drill hole, the whole 9 yards, you know,
Oh, I agree.
just like my hand tools. So these drills could last a long time. Matco does guarantee, or they warranty certain sizes. I think it's from 1/4 inch up, you know, but mainly you're going to break the small ones. I guess most people would, you know,
Yeah.
that's where
I know I do.
But in this case, you wouldn't need a small one. You'd be drilling a hole that's probably what is that, like an 8 millimeter bolt for the sway bar?
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's probably about it with a 13 millimeter head. So
That's 8 millimeter, right? So
right.
so in that case, that's about a five. I said it last week, and I didn't double check myself. I think that's about a 5/16 equivalent to like a 5/16 American bolt, somewhere around there.
Yes,
And
I would say yes though.
that's it's bigger than a 1/4 inch. That's a fairly decent size hole for a chassis.
Right.
But these drills would do it. No strain. So
Well, I found that with a standard punch and a hammer and a standard drill bit and about 10 minutes of patience, I was able to drill a pilot hole because that's the only way I was able to do it. I wasn't going to go with the thicker 5/8 drill bit right away. I was going to go with went small, made a small hole, measured it up, and then kept getting bigger and bigger drill bits until I got the hole that I needed.
right,
So
right.
that was basically how I did it. And I had to work precisely because of course right over where I'm working are the brake lines and the gas lines.
Right.
So, and then I have to do some welding. So
Oh yeah. So speaking of the biggest drill bit in the box, we have
there
him
he
with us
is.
right now. Here he is, Mr. Carl Anthony. Carl, good to
Hey,
see you.
fellas.
Hey.
Well, I don't know if me as the biggest drill bit in the world would have been any help to your catalytic converter saga last week.
Oh
Wow.
gosh.
What a show, fellas. And then
Pearls of laughter.
yeah, and then honestly, when Jeep and Al Handy came on, I was like, oh, it was great to hear Al, semi-retired and taking care of all of his bucket list. So, love Jeep and Al and I'm listening, I'm like, I got to do one of those tours. That Indianapolis to Detroit, that Motorhead tour sounds awesome. But then all of the one-liners between you guys, Garage Mahal, like that took me a minute. I was like, oh, Taj Mahal, Garage Mahal, and then going to Bucky's. Like I was driving and I was laughing so hard. I thought if I keep laughing, I'm gonna have to pull over. So it was a great show last week with you, the catalytic converter and nothing working at all, And I was like, and I said to myself, I was like, well, if Ray can't figure it out, then there's no hope for that whole situation.
That's what Mike said to me. I was like,
Yeah.
please don't put me on that pedestal. But
No, it's
happened.
true. Over the years here in Detroit, when I've told colleagues of mine that I'm part of this show and that I'm, an on again, off again contributor, and I mentioned the host, I said, this guy Ray, I said, who hosts the show, I said, this is the kind of guy that could have a car in his kitchen and he'd be able to work on it and make breakfast at the same time.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I could do that.
Yep.
Yeah, but
That he can do.
so, and as a quick codicil to that, I haven't checked in a few days, but the cat efficiency has been rising as I've been, putting miles on the car, and the gas mileage got better. Yeah, the gas
Hey,
mileage
that's
got better.
good.
So
Right.
all that stuff that they say should work, it really can in practice. So
But Carl, I still have 2 for sale signs still
Okay.
sitting on the shelf. They're going to get sent right to Ray.
There you go.
yeah. So Carl, speaking of like Jeep and Al and his trip, which is phenomenal, that's
Yeah.
right in your area. I mean, you could do that one easy. Al
Yeah.
did it leaving from South Carolina because
Sure.
he recently relocated. So I was like, wow, I think he told me at the end of the day he did 5,700 miles
Yeah.
all around. Yeah.
Be amazing. And this is the area. I mean, living here in this area, if you love car museums, I mean, this is the place to be. Gilmore Car Museum, Henry Ford, the American Museum of Innovation is a big one. That's the one where they have all the presidential cars there, including the car that Kennedy was assassinated in.
Oh, wow.
And then they have who was it? Was it Lindbergh that made the flight overseas? They've got his plane, which was basically when you go into the aerospace section where he just kind of sat, it just like a tin can with wings almost, where he was just looking out this small little kind of a slit through the thing. And, to think that he made that flight, all the way across the ocean back then. And my aerospace knowledge isn't great, but that Henry Ford's an incredible museum. And so if you're into the history of airplanes and rail, too,
I like rail.
Henry Ford's a great place. They have full size steam engines there that you can actually walk up into. So if you love cars, this is the place to be.
You just reminded me, besides his clutch and brake positioning, that's how Chris drives a car. Like usually out of a little slit like this.
Yeah.
He's laid back for the clutch. But you know, and Carl, just to solidify that, where we are here at the college, our radio station, we are on Mitchell Field, which was, that's where, you know, these guys took their practice flights back in the day. We're at the right outside of the door from where I am. There's the Cradle of Aviation Museum. It's you know, there's all sorts of aero and space stuff in there. But
right, it's
so
incredible.
Yeah, Al said the next year he's doing the museum trip, which is going to be phenomenal. So
Yeah.
good
So,
stuff.
and that starts in Indianapolis, doesn't it? And then goes up through the Detroit, I think is what he was saying.
He sent me a link. I have to look. There's a website that I haven't looked at yet, but I will. That details it.
And isn't there something, and don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure in my automotive history that the reason why Speedway Indiana, the Indianapolis 500, the Brickyard, the reason why that's there is because that back in the day, not all of the automakers were necessarily concentrated in the Detroit metro.
Sure.
There were automakers that were down in Ohio and Indiana because they were coach builders. And then once the switch came from, you know, horse-drawn carriages to motorized engines, that those coach builders that were in other parts of the Midwest were trying to build their own cars. And I think that if I'm not mistaken, Speedway Indiana was a test track for some of those Midwest automakers, and that's why it's where it's at today.
Wow. Somebody just told
That's
me
interesting.
someone just told me about a town in I guess it was Paul who was telling me yesterday about a town. It was down in, was it Arkansas or Tennessee? It was like Fordville or something. They were supposed to put a Ford plant down there, but it never happened. And the name stayed. Then the town, they were going to grow this town, of course, around the industry, which typically happens, and it didn't happen. So the town became one of those, you know, I guess, what do you call it? It was a, you know, nature kind of, the world kind of took it over and basically killed it before it even germinated. So
Right.
interesting stuff. Yeah, cool stuff.
Oh, yeah. I still want to know what the Indianapolis 500, what that speedway does when the race isn't running. What do they do? Hold flea markets in the infield?
I flew over when we went for that road trip, and there was nothing going on.
Like, what they have that one event, and then like that's it. They shut the door and they're done until next year. Till next Memorial Day.
Isn't there a big catalytic converter convention every March?
Oh, geez, yeah, that'd be great.
Live Motormouth radio broadcasts from the 2026 Catalytic Converter Convention.
Cat World, Mode 6
right.
World.
Where Ray will be the guest speaker next year.
Yeah, he's giving the keynote.
Yeah. I'll tell you what I want to give a keynote on. What happened this week, I was working on a Quadrajet, you know, the Rochester 4-barrel that was on all the GMs and some Fords even, and even a Chrysler or two back in the day.
Sure.
Yeah. And I've been doing those things since I'm like 17. So that's, oh, Jesus Christ.
Only about 10 years.
Yeah. 50 years. So anyway, I've done hundreds of them, and I have probably 100 in my sheds and all. So I got one from our buddy Rick. He's got that 1972 big block Corvette. It's a 454 automatic, and it ends up being a 1 year, one model carburetor.
Of course.
Because it was only used in 72 and on the automatic. The standard transmission has a different number. So that number on that carburetor now becomes very important to somebody who wants to, you know, identify that the car if its number's matching. So we had a problem. I've been working with him through the summer. The car ran kind of rich on one side, on the right or the passenger side. I tried a lot of different stuff. Finally, I said, take it off. Let's do it. I break it apart, and I could see there was so much soot for so long in that carburetor. It had impregnated the metal. I couldn't get all of the blackness out, which is very odd. I'm using an ultrasonic cleaner now, too, which is the best.
Sure.
But come to find that when I crack the top off and I look down, I see there's something I never saw before. There's a power piston that rides in a bore. It's about an inch tall. And actually, I think it's 900 something thousandths tall, whatever it is. But anyway, and there's two needles that hang off the power piston that go into the main jets. So with vacuum, high vacuum, it's pulled in, low vacuum, it comes up. Those jets, the needles ride out of the jets and let the fuel in to the circuit to run the car.
Right.
Well,
Right.
one of the needles was in the jet. The other needle was splayed out and sticking outside of the jet hole. It never was in the jet. I'm like, well, there's the rich condition on the right bank. There was no metering of fuel. The jet was just wide open. I'm like, okay, great. So the power piston has a little collar that holds it into the shaft, and you just you grab it. You bounce it a couple times. There's a spring underneath it, and it pulls right out. This one wouldn't pull out. This one, I gave it a little tug with a pair of needle nose. I had to get my good serrated edge needle nose and literally work this thing out. It was seized in the bore. This car had no metering of primary fuel whatsoever. First time I've ever seen it in my life. So at the end of the day, we decided, you know what, we're going to put this thing back together. It'll go in the box and you can sell us with the car. Here's the original carburetor. Let's put another one on the car. So you never know what you're going to find. Just because you did 100 of them or 200 doesn't mean.
Right.
And that problem has never come up before, ever.
And see, this reminds me, as you're telling this story, Ray, I think we've talked about this even earlier this year, maybe when I was on. I know it's been a few months, and even last year too, but with Matco man Brian. And we've got to be able to preserve this knowledge for this younger generation of car people who want to work on these cars. Yes, there's still a movement here in Detroit to produce electric cars, still a movement for software-defined vehicles, but one thing we know is that the internal combustion engine is alive and well. There is still a huge following in the vintage and the classic cars. So, Ray, again, it comes back to this conversation we've had where these are the stories and the knowledge that we've got to pass on to that younger group, because just like you said, you could run up against this certain situation at this certain time. You've done 100 of them, but then 101 is something different. And then who do those younger guys who are turning wrenches, who do they turn to, right? So that's why I think those car clubs are so important, and talking to those older people that have the knowledge and the experience.
You're right, Carl. But the other thing is, that information's going away. And as the older guys age out, who's going to do it? And the younger guys, I was at Paul's house yesterday looking, and he bought another project vehicle he's working on, and it's got an early TBI on it with some controls. And it's going to be, I said, you know what, you could always go back. You could always change the intake, put a carburetor on it, a regular points distributor. You could backwards engineer it.
Yeah.
And now what guys are going to do with carburetors like this, they're just going to go buy one from any one of the manufacturers. And there's a lot of good ones out there.
Sure.
But everybody price shops. We all do it. And I was telling my buddy with the, with the Corvette, I said, let's not fall into that trap. Let's not just go buy a reman, because the reman isn't, I've had some remans that were downright frauds. They were labeled as being something and they were not.
Yeah.
So I said, let's just take your other spare part, your other spare carburetor. I'll take the kit that you bought for this one. We'll put it into that one, and we'll have a go at it. I think you'll be far ahead. You'll be far better off. So
right.
But you're right. Who's going to be there to do this later? I don't know.
I've got to be downtown at a conference in Detroit this coming week down at the Huntington place. But Friday I was there for setup. It's a huge event called the Battery Show, which is just exactly what it sounds like. It's a lot of battery testing and a lot of battery technologies for electric vehicles. But it's a huge show, happens every year here in Detroit. So I was down there on Friday, and all of the exhibitors were setting up, huge hall of exhibitors setting up. And some of that, when you're setting up and you're part of the setup before the event like that, it's a lot of hurry up and wait. So there's a lot of crates coming in off the dock that are moving through the show floor. And so you're waiting for somebody to sign off on this, somebody to sign off on that, drop this here, take that over there. So we happened to be waiting for not even our stuff. We were waiting to have something else moved so that our stuff could get access to. So The forklift operator, I suppose he was probably in his late 60s or so, semi-retired, but he does this, operating forklift just for money on the side. And so as we were sitting there waiting basically to get to our crates on the dock behind this stuff, and he was waiting for authorization to move, we just struck up a conversation. And so he got on the topic of his Dodge Challenger, so sort of the fun car he bought for retirement, 2018 Dodge Challenger. So it's a car I'm familiar with. So we're talking about that. And then he goes and it starts back, cars in the early 70s, of how easy it was to work on them. So he starts talking about some of the Mopar muscle cars that he had when he was younger. And then he's saying, my 2018, he's like, it's newer, he's like, it's 7-8 years old by this point. He said, but he goes, I can't work on that one. He's like, I can lift it up. He goes, I can, change tires and stuff like that. He goes, I can do all that. He goes, but I can't do engine modifications and change torque and horsepower output. He goes, like I could with the Mopar cars that I had in the early 70s. And so we probably talked for about a half hour like this. Honestly, over the course of a half hour, I didn't say but like 3 or 4 words, honestly, because when you meet guys like this, they are a wealth of knowledge. And it is when you live in Detroit like this, it's these guys who are working the docks, who are forklift operators. They've all done a stint at GM. They all did something at Ford. They all did something at Chrysler. They've all built these cars by hand, or they've all tinkered with them. And so a guy like that, and finally when the order came and he could move the one crate and get to our stuff, I was like, man, it was a pleasure talking to you. And he goes, I love talking about it. He goes, I love sharing. He goes, this knowledge, he goes, and my experience, he said, because most of it, he goes, I just did for years here in Detroit in the garage with my buddies. He goes, and then driving up and down Woodward and Telegraph Avenue, Telegraph Road. And so, yeah, so those older guys like that who live around here, if you can find one of those guys here in Detroit, yeah, they'll tell you some stories for sure.
Carl, did you give him a phone number?
You know what? I should have. I should have said.
There's a car show that likes to talk to guys like you.
Yeah. By the way, do you have any pointers for a catalytic converter?
Yeah, right. Yeah, don't buy the cheap one. Buy the good one the first time.
Yeah, right.
Again, that to me, that was the takeaway from that whole story. We all want to save money, me included, and we've been hit with a slew of bills this month, stuff that we didn't see coming. And that was just, we didn't need that, but I did need the inspection at the end of September. So at that point, you got to just pony up and pay up. That's, like my friend Kevin says, just pay and obey. So
pay and obey.
Pay and obey.
The other thing we need to obey is the bottom of the hour, which it is. So let me take care of a quick little bit of business here, Carl. As you very well know, as I look at the WHPC weather window, I see that our WHPC weather forecast is powered by Pantano's Gourmet with locations in Hewlett and Uniondale. Today, it's partly cloudy, warm of going to be a high of 81. It's top down day. I came in with the convertible today. Absolutely beautiful. Clear skies tonight, low of 51 or 59. I don't know what that means. And again, it's going to be sunny during the week in the 70s. We're in that beautiful early fall weather here in the Northeast. It is absolutely phenomenal. And I have to say, people can benefit from listening to this station. You can win a $100 gift card to Uncle Bacala's Italian Seafood and More, one of my favorite places on the island. Just for downloading and using the free WHPC app, you listen to the HPC anytime, anywhere, and register to win this $100 gift card by using the WHPC app. Uncle Bacala's Italian Seafood and More is located at 23-70 Jericho Turnpike in lovely Garden City Park. Just there yesterday. Drove right by the place. I want to stop in for lunch, but I was a little grungy. And the WHPC app is located on the Google Play or Apple App Store, of course. Good luck from the voice of Nassau Community College and all the apps. Chris, do we have an honor group of the hour for our fans today? And, people have been requesting honor groups when they sometimes leave a comment on YouTube or whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my favorite part of the show.
Well, that's nice to hear. Sometimes you think you're talking to yourself, because I know Ray doesn't listen.
Oh, no, you're speaking, what is it, preaching to the choir? That's not the
busy over
phrase
here.
I
A
want.
little busy. Okay, what do you got? No, I always listen on the replay. Don't worry, I do listen on the replay.
Before we get to the honor group of the hour, just want to let you know you can text us right here and speak to Carl Anthony at 203-670-4127. Just like Jim LaStella did. He said it's probably the Indianapolis Speedway is probably a golf course, but he also says there's plenty of other events at the Speedway. That's all he said. So
Okay.
it's still a mystery as to what happens over there.
And people can call too. They can call.
Oh, yes, that's right. The phone still works, right? At what is it? 516-572-7440 is the phone number to give us a call here. But now, the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour. If you've ever owned an air-cooled Volkswagen Beetle, were you one of those adventurous individuals or extremely cheap or frugal to part with a few bucks to purchase an original Volkswagen Bug? Did the lack of AC in the summer and the void of standard cabin heat in the winter drive you insane? Did the crackle from the stock AM radio make every station unlistenable? And how about to the glacial acceleration from all those 40 horses pushing from that noisy rear engine in a back, especially when entering a highway? The sheer excitement of using every inch of the entrance ramp just to reach cruising speed was always a joy. So if you were fortunate or unfortunate enough to spend some time with the iconic and lovable air-cooled Volkswagen Bug, then this week you are part of the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour. There you go.
The people's car.
Yeah, the people's car.
Yes.
All right. Very good. All right. We're going to make this a truncated break today because we want to talk more with Carl.
Good.
So we'll be back. More Motormouth Radio, Ray Guarino, Chris Switzer, Carl Anthony, and we'll be back in a minute. Keep it where you got it on 90.3 WHPC.
Oh yeah, did I mention that I'm 23 feet tall now? Maybe I forgot to tell you. It's been so long, you know how it gets when you feel you're getting larger.
It's a call-studded program. We do have another caller on the line. Caller, identify yourself.
Anthony, I called those guys with the cars one time.
Oh, nice, the Motormouth guys.
Oh, yeah, those good old boys.
There you are. Anthony, where are you calling from?
I'm in Freeport. Yeah, this morning I miss it. My boss was, every time I turn it on, he turns it off. I say, whoa, 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 whoa. Yo, you better, I mean, I give him a karate chop.
That's right.
Give him a karate chop.
All right, Anthony.
Give him that five. I love it.
Later, dudes.
It's a pleasure, bro. Take it easy. That was
amazing.
My favorite caller
of all time.
Maybe all time. I have heard him with the Motormouth guys. That's why I recognized them a little.
This show on 90.3 WHPC is brought to you by CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision, with 2 locations in Limerick and Oceanside, who remind you that New York state law says you always have the right to choose which shop will fix your car. CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision offers a full range of services, 24-hour towing between Montauk and Manhattan, shuttle service, and they can help you with a rental car arrangement if needed. All repairs include the CarStar lifetime nationwide warranty, ensuring that the experts at Celebrity Chase Collision are always on your side.
Y sí, hablamos español.
More information is available at 516-593-0920 or online at celebritychasecollision.com.
Hey, you, get over here. Every Sunday, 12 to 1, you are going to tune in to hear the Motormouths, my friends Ray Guarino and Chris Switzer. 90.3 FM, WHPC. You might learn something.
It's like a fiberglass bikini. It's like playing dog and mouse.
Yeah, it's like a fiberglass bikini. Motormouth Radio. You've tuned in. Wear it, scratch it, itch it. Get some calamine. I don't care what you do. Just listen, call in, talk to Carl, 516-572-7440. We're back, boys.
Yeah, this summer I'm judging a fiberglass bikini contest.
Oh, baby.
Nice.
I can imagine the ramifications alone. That's crazy. Don't bring the resin though. They don't.
I was going to say the resin is flowing freely.
Yeah, they don't like that. It's a little tough. Yeah.
Or oozing out like honey, like blorp, blorp, blorp.
So, Carl, now that we're entering the fall season,
yes,
you guys like Chris have fall seasons that kind of they're a little. Let's say it's nicer where I am than where you guys are.
They show up sooner for us, Carl, than they do for Ray.
What's up on the fall lineup for you guys? Well, even just personally, you got road trips you're going to take with the wife. You do any kind of what do you do for fun?
Well, so for me, it has been sort of a season of transition. So, as you guys know, I was with Automoblog for a long time, for 10 years that I've been part of this show. So I've actually had the opportunity to move on from Automoblog and started a sort of a new, I'm still in the automotive industry, but started what I guess you would say is a new chapter of my career. So it was time to move on from Automoblog after a decade. Several good opportunities presented themselves to me. So I'm on the marketing team now for a company called AVL. And so what AVL is they're one of the world's top mobility technology companies. And so we do a lot of development, simulation, and testing services for the automotive industry. And their North American headquarters is in Plymouth, which is just north of Detroit. So starting a new gig, I'm also doing some writing now for Real Truck. So Real Truck, the big online truck, the retail, the big truck retail website. So they sell a ton of accessories, from tonneau covers to step bars to racks for trucks. They actually have a publication. They have a blog called Real Source. So I'm writing for Real Source, and then still hosting my industry podcast, AutoVision News Radio. So for me, this fall has really been a time of transition just in terms of my career in the automotive industry. So hoping to get some vacation time and enjoy the nice fall weather. It's actually beautiful today. We're in sort of this, in here in the Detroit area, we're in kind of a week of unseasonably warm temps. So it's nice. I've been outside, enjoying it and going for walks and stuff. And there's a few late season car shows that are happening, and they've had wonderful weather. But yeah, so for me, guys, it's an area of transition for my career. So exciting, different, to move on from, a job you've had with Automoblog, the job I had for a decade prior, but excited for the future. So that's really what this fall and this winter holds for me, is just getting used to this new chapter for me in automotive.
Well, certainly best of luck in that endeavor. And what I want to say is you should clip this segment and send it to them. The guys at AVL, they should know that we didn't script this or plan this.
Not at all.
All I did was just threw a crumb out, and you segued like so professionally.
Thank you.
And so perfectly.
Always.
I was just like, that was pretty good. So
thank you.
Show them your professionalism. It's right out there, and I'll swear to, I'm sure Chris will too, that we didn't script it.
Thank you, friend.
True.
Thank you, friend. And then, aside from the usual, I make the trip every year for Thanksgiving and Christmas to see my family in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. So my mom and my brother and my brother's girlfriend. And so sometimes I fly that. Other times I drive it. And so I do enjoy that long 900-mile drive. It's always great to take that. I love long road trips. And then anything else I do, though, again, back to what Jeep and Al Handy was saying last week, just this area, if you're a gearhead, if you're a motorhead, this area has just so much to offer in terms of car museums. So I know if you're listening on the actual radio today, you can't see the hat I have on. If you watch the YouTube video, I actually have a Pontiac Firebird hat on. So I got this Pontiac Firebird hat at the M1 Concourse, but they sell this exact same hat at the Pontiac Transportation Museum in Pontiac, Michigan, one of the new museums that has opened here within, I want to say, the last 2 years or so, but it is just what it sounds like. So it is dedicated to the town of Pontiac and then the GM marquee Pontiac. So it goes all the way back to Oakland, to when Pontiac had acquired Oakland and had a partnership with Oakland. It has a ton of stuff from Pontiac employees over the years, this museum. So stuff that like notepads or notebooks or calendars, all stuff that GM and Pontiac employees, work shirts, right, that they have dedicated to the museum. Most people don't know, and in fact, this was actually, I didn't even know this until I took a tour up there last year, but that Pontiac had a division where they did motorhomes. Pontiac actually worked and sold motorhomes for a time, so GM has that. So they've got some of the Pontiac motorhomes there, of course, all of the era that was influenced by John DeLorean. Bonneville's on display. the guy who did it, he basically bought a middle school. So a middle school had been abandoned in Pontiac, and the middle school is being renovated into the museum. So they did phase one, I want to say, in I don't remember if it was late 2023 or early 2024. They've got phase two open, and then phase three is going to be like the other part of the middle school. So, and then there's a downstairs area of the middle school where they work on the cars. But it's a lot of GM employees over the years who have, basically lent these cars to the museum. They've got there the very last Pontiac G6 that ever left the line. I think that was in 2009. So they've got some gems there. So basically for me, any road trips, not counting seeing family over the holidays, some of my road trips are going to be local, and I'm going to be going. I want to go back to the Pontiac Museum and see this phase two opening, because I've only seen part of it. I missed the grand opening. I was not available that night. I just had other stuff on my schedule. So for me, it's going to be a fall of just one, getting used to my new gig, my new role, and then just trying to get back to some of these car museums, because they do have some new exhibits that I want to see.
Nice. Actually, I was going to ask you about the hat, and then
Yeah.
I held back because I've done this to people before. I said, "Hey, man, where'd you get that hat?" And like, "What hat?" Like, I don't even know what I'm wearing. And
Right.
Let's not throw a wrench into work. But Firebird being one of my favorite cars of
Yes.
all time, I still want one. It's on my bucket list to own an early Firebird, but we'll see. So
Yeah, and this hat here, so this was a fairly recent hat I bought, and this was actually at a Mopar show. So this was back in August. They had M1 Concourse out in Pontiac. They will do their Cars and Coffee series, which are just awesome, but they usually have some kind of a theme. So I think this year they had one day that was dedicated to JDM cars. They'll have another one that'll be dedicated to, BMW and Mercedes. The one I went to was dedicated to Chrysler, Pontiac, Dodge, Jeep, right? And so they had a lot of the Mopar muscle cars there. They had a really cool Plymouth Duster up on a mobile dynamometer that was doing stuff. Like, that was really cool to see. So, I mean, it's a great way to spend a Saturday morning. I think they go from like 8 until noon. They've got music. For the JDM, the Japanese domestics, they had a speaker, I believe, from either Nissan or Mazda. I think from Mazda, and I think he had worked on the Miata, and then I think he'd worked on the Nissan Z as well. So he was on the product development team that was responsible for both of those cars over the years. So he gave like a keynote, so you could go inside the M1 Concourse and sit and listen. So these are some pretty elaborate events that they put on, but they have all of these like merch trucks. They just pull up with the merch trucks. And so I was at this was back in August. I was at this Mopar event, and I kind of saw the hat out of my corner of my eyes. I'm like, oh yeah. I was like, that's a Firebird hat. I was like, I got to have it. So, again, this is what's great about living here, man. You got a car show. I mean, as long as the sun is out, I mean, and some of these are rain or shine, but you got a car show. If it's not winter, you've got a car show pretty much happening somewhere.
That's great. And I'll tell you, those 900-mile road trips, that's a good way to clean the catalytic converter.
Yes, it is. provided you can get it installed.
Right.
Or get
a good one in there.
Right, and you got to get the soot off that Rochester carburetor too.
Oh, that's another thing. Yeah, well, that's easy to do. Well, this one, that's easy to do. I was watching a video this week from a guy on YouTube. I don't remember who it was. I watched so much. And the guy says, "You know what I'm going to do to the Italian tune-up?" I'm like, "What? Where'd this guy come from?" Well,
the Italian tune-up.
Yeah, we have our version here, which we've all agreed on. His version was a little different because he wasn't from here, but nonetheless, it would still get the job done. No amount of Italian tune-ups or Irish car bombs in the world would have made this Quadrajet better. But like I told Rick, I said, luckily you drive the car like a grandmother, so you're never really worried about maximum power. So
right.
you got along with it, and when we put the other one on, it'll be fine too. So
Carl, I learned about an Italian tune-up when I was a kid. There was a very good friend of mine. It was a friend of my dad's. His name was John, and John would take these Jaguar XJ sedans that were running a little rough. The little old lady would pull in. We had a little shop in Bay Ridge, and he was like, I'm gonna tune up your car. And he would take the car and drive over the Verrazano Bridge with it. And the Verrazano Bridge can literally peak. It's like a hill. and he
Okay.
would just floor it and get it all the way to the top of the hill and let it coast back down, pay the toll, turn around, come back, do the same exact thing, pull the car back into the shop. The car would be humming. And
Right.
then he had the audacity to charge these people like $400
Oh boy.
for the privilege of
the
him just
Italian.
dumping it out. And that was my introduction to an Italian tune-up.
The Italian tune-up. So you mentioned Bay Ridge. Now I've actually been to that neighborhood. So it's been a decade. It's been 10 years ago. But at the time I was doing a lot of dealer training. And when you're a dealer trainer, sometimes you might work strictly for one manufacturer, or you might jump from program to program. And this is common in Detroit. And this is what I have done for a portion of my career, where for one contract, I worked for Ford, sign all the NDAs, and then a couple weeks later, then I've jumped over to Stellantis or Honda or whoever else, right? And so that was a portion of at the time, I was kind of jumping like that. So I had just finished a program with Mercedes-Benz. I jumped on a program with Volvo, and I was their dealer trainer in the summer of 2015 when the XC90 was being relaunched. Now, there was no XC90 for 2015. It was a 2016 model. It had been completely redesigned, and I had the East Coast region, which, if you are sort of familiar with Volvo's retailer network, the East Coast region is where there's the highest concentration of Volvos, because when they came to the U.S., they started on the East Coast. And
they were all here.
They were all here. They were all where you guys are.
Everybody had a Volvo wagon in Connecticut. Yes,
exactly. So there was a store called Bay Ridge Volvo, and so I've been in that neighborhood. So
exactly where it is.
Yep. So I got there. I was like 8 a.m. And so I do the class. I do the dealer training class, and then we had test drives for the afternoon. And then the sales consultants could invite their customers in if they wanted to, do a test drive. And then you'd pack up, and then the next day you'd go to the next dealership, and so on and so forth. Anyway, after the morning classes, after I was done with all the morning classes, they said, "Hey, let's go get some lunch. There's a pizza place that we like." I don't remember the name of it to this day.
Doesn't matter.
There were like 12 of them anywhere within a half a mile radius of where you were.
It wasn't far. I know that. We walked to it. I remember that. We didn't even drive. We ended up walking to it, and it was, no kidding. And I'm not a big pizza guy, so pizza's not the first thing I would pick. If somebody said, order something, it's not the first thing I would pick. Right. So, and I don't know the difference between Chicago style or Detroit style, and I live in Detroit, but like I'm not a pizza expert. This was some of the best pizza I've ever had as far as pizza goes, and I was like, wow, this is incredible. Like, what's the secret? And the guys at the dealership told me, no kidding, I thought they were joking, because they go, well, it's in the water. And I was like, well, that's what everybody says. Like, why is Motor Mouth Radio such a good show? Well, it's because something's in the water. It's
in the water.
Yeah.
Well,
and I thought they were joking, and they go, no, literally, it's in the water. Something with the water in this area of New York, or this area of the world, enables the dough to have a certain consistency that allows it to do this, this, and this. That is what they swear by. So that is my official Bay Ridge pizza story.
I will tell you, it's a good one. This conversation propagates. Paul and I had this conversation yesterday about, I was talking about the pizza down in North Carolina, how now I've found some really good pizza. The people are from New York is what it is.
There you go.
Of course.
So yeah, that's kind of one of those urban legends that'll follow forever and ever.
And the dealership that Carl is talking about is somewhere on 4th Avenue in the 90s somewhere. I think 92nd, 93rd Street at the time.
And they were renovating it at the time. So half of the dealership was like under construction. So they were, they were renovating it into a new store, if memory serves at the time. But so when you said Bay Ridge, I've been there. So Bay Ridge I associate with good pizza. And then I think, did we solve the pizza debate on Sunday, October 5th, 2025 on WHPC 90.3 FM Motor Mouth Radio? Because if we solve the pizza debate, this is going to, we can close the chapter on a really big debate if this is...
Yeah. After my most recent trips down to the Carolinas, I came back with 2 myths dispelled, and one is that you can't get good pizza down there because I've had it, and with my palate from up here,
sure,
I think I'm a good judge. And the other one is that there's no traffic down there. I have seen it, so I'm kind of working on these things as I go into my retirement life. But Carl, we're getting toward the end of the show, and of course, we appreciate having you on. We love having you as a guest, and we will continue to do so. Of course, you can always count on those Saturday afternoon. It was like 2 weeks ago. I said I got to talk to Carl, but it was already like 9 at night. I said, nah, it's a little too late. That's why I waited till during the week. So
that's okay. Anytime. I always keep an eye on my phone about 3-4 o'clock on Saturday because I'm like, maybe I'm going to hear from Ray. Somebody's like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow, Sunday afternoon? I'm like, I don't know. I haven't heard from Ray yet. Give me a few more hours and then I can let you know.
Well, you can always just jump in on us too and just get in touch with me and say, hey, what are you doing tomorrow?
Hey, what are you?
Yeah, we'll always put you on. So we appreciate you coming on, and of course we wish you lots of luck in the new endeavor. We know you're going to kill it because that's kind of what you do. So that's I'm sure, and we'd like to hear about it as things progress. Of course, you want to break news on the show. That's what we're here for. We'd love to hear about that.
Of course, of
course. Good stuff.
No, it's true, Carl. Always, you make the show very easy. I always said that.
Yes.
You make the show very easy because it's the stories you have and just the information that you give is always monumental to what we're doing here, and you're always a welcome addition anytime. You know that anytime.
Thank you, fellas. I appreciate that, and it means a lot to be part of this show for 10 years. I want to say, Ray, we were talking over email and I said, I think it's been 10 years, 2015 or 2016, I want to say was my very first call in. I think we started talking about autonomous driving, and then, just our relationship with the show just, kind of continued to grow and blossom. And then I've met so many interesting people being associated with the show. The late Chassis John, God rest his soul. You hear his voice in the middle of the hour. Matco Man Brian, obviously Jeep and Al Handy, and then all of the listeners who have called in, who I've been able to talk to over the years. And so I always say to everybody that, whoever when the conversation comes up to my Detroit colleagues, I say, you know what? I say those guys out in Long Island, I said they can work on a car 6 ways from Sunday. I said that motor mouth crowd, I said those gearheads out on Long Island, I said they know their cars. I said up ways and down and left and right. So I've learned a lot from you guys over the years, and I started in this business in January 2009, selling cars at Sioux Falls Ford in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. And I thought, I thought, okay, I'm going to just I'm going to get my master certification and just learn all I can about cars. And next thing you know, then I'm in Detroit, and then next thing you know, we're solving of who has the best pizza. We're solving that, and
I'll tell you
many of the other world's problems.
And I know I was doing a show with Joe at the time, and we talked about after the autonomous cars. I said, I don't know how long this is going to last because we're like button heads right off the bat. But he's a nice guy. But and luckily it did, because we transcended all of that. So now we are getting the boot. Kim is coming in to do Thunder Road, Best of Springsteen and the band. Carl, whoever wants to tell me, what do I tell the guys waiting for me out in the parking lot?
Yeah. Don't follow us home.
Thank you.
And always tell Carl about good pizza whenever you can.
And good music, too. So for Chris Switzer, Ray Guarino, Carl Anthony, thank you very much again for spending the hour with us. We'll be back next week. And so we're out of here. 90.3 WHPC. See ya.
See you, bye.
This show on 90.3 WHPC is brought